Hey everybody, this is Dr. Chris Dost. Welcome back to my Biblical Hebrew channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click the bell so that you're notified when videos like this appear in the future. And please be sure to share these links with your friends. In the last video, we read the first part of the verse here. Vayomar Adonai Mitzion Yishag. We said that Vayomar meant, and he said. Adonai Mitzion Yishag. Adonai Mitzion Yishag means the Lord from Zion roars. The verb Yishag is a third-person masculine singular prefix conjugation of the kal or basic stem or the G stem, however you care to call it. And we go on to the next part of the verse. Umirushalayim yitain kolo. Umirushalayim yitain kolo. The first word in this clause, and from Jerusalem. And from Jerusalem. The conjunction vav is vocalized as u because it precedes a bump letter, beit vav mem pe. And since from Jerusalem, Mirushalayim, begins with a mem, which is a bump letter, the conjunction vav has to be vocalized as u. The next word, yitain, is a third-person masculine singular prefix conjugation of the verbal root nun tav nun in the basic stem. Third person masculine singular, G stem, B stem, kal, of the verbal root nun tav nun in the prefix conjugation. There's a dagesh in the tav because the nun has assimilated. The form yin tain became yittain. Now literally the verb yittain means he gives, but we'll see in context, we're going to have to translate this a little bit differently. And that's because of this word, kolo, which means his voice. It's the noun, the singular noun kol for voice. You could translate it as sound here too, but I go with voice. And the O at the end is the third person masculine singular pronominal suffix meaning his, which you will actually find in Palestinian Arabic as well for those of you who are interested in comparative Semitics. Now I just thought we'd take a minute and glance at the Aleppo Codex here to see if there are any differences between the printed edition, which is based on L, the Leningrad Codex, and between the text of the Aleppo Codex. It would appear in the Aleppo Codex that the Hirik is actually written to the right of the mem, in between the lamed and the mem, as opposed to the Leningrad Codex, where it is clearly written beneath the mem. So far what we have is, and he said, the Lord from Zion roars, and from Jerusalem he gives his voice. But it's very clear that because of the parallelism, that he gives his voice, or yitain kolo, needs to be translated analogously to yishag. So to give his voice can mean to roar or something like that. I would opt for a more idiomatic translation like he roars. And then we come to vavlu neot haroim. Vavlu neot haroim. So va'avlu is a third person kal suffix conjugation, in the plural, of course. But because it has the vav, we're going to translate it in an imperfective fashion. So either in the present tense or the future tense, and that's a matter of interpretation. Here, I'm just going to go with a present tense, treating it in a gnomic fashion, something that happens whenever the Lord roars. But you can translate it as a prediction as well. It's open to interpretation. So ve'avlu, why is this in the plural? It's because the subject of the sentence, neot, the pastures, which is a construct, neot haroim, the pastures of the shepherds dry up or wither. Notice that we have the familiar accent pattern here. Pashta, munach, zakef katan. Just as we saw with Adonai Mitzion Yishag. The final clause is viavesh, which again is a suffix conjugation third singular. The I-class vowel, tsere, is there because this is a stative verb. And it dries up, it withers. Now this verb is in the singular because the subject is singular. Rosh, head, but here it's in a construct phrase, Rosh HaKarmel, the head of the Carmel in the north. The Carmel mountain range is near Haifa. And notice that we have here the same accent pattern that we had with the second major clause, Umirushalayim Yitain Kolo. The only difference being the major disjunctive accent on the final word of this clause is Atnach, whereas in the final clause it is Siluk. But that is only because of the location of those words within the verse. So what we have here in this verse is the introductory statement, Vayomar, and he said, and then we get 4 clauses of 3 words. Adonai mitzion yishag, umirushalayim yitain kolo, ve'avlu neot haroim, v'yavesh rosh hakarmel. Now we have a sursilis on the word v'yavesh, which indicates that there should be a masoretic note there. And indeed, when we go to the Leningrad Codex, we see that to the left of v'yavesh is the letter he, which means 5 times. 5 times. Right there is the he. And we see that this same note is there in the Aleppo Codex as well. There's v'yavesh, and there's the masoretic note. Now, when you look at the electronic edition of BHQ, you will see that the he is presented there without commentary. And when we do a simple accordance search of the letters Vav, Yud, Beit, Shin, we see that Isaiah 19:5 shows up, Ezekiel 17:9, Amos 1:2, Psalm 90 and verse 6, and finally Job 14:11. The last thing we want to note is that in Biblia Hebraica Quinta, there is a pei written at the end of verse 2. I'll just mention for now that the pei stands for pitucha, which means open, and this indicates that there is a large line break in the manuscript. When we look at the Leningrad Codex, we can see here after HaKarmel a full break with the next verse starting on a new line. I'll talk about the significance of that some other time in a future video, but for now, just note that when you see this pei printed at the end of a verse, it indicates that there is a large line break in the text. And you can see some other examples here. And just for the sake of comparison, this is what it looks like in the Aleppo Codex. Well, if you enjoyed that video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell so that you can be notified when videos like this appear in the future. And also, please consider sharing the link on your Facebook pages and elsewhere through social media. I would really appreciate it. All right, see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.